This tutorial is going to be on using Zoom as a way to log onto the class. As I explained in my first tutorial on using Conference for Canvas, most of the class periods are going to be held through Conference just because it automatically links up with Canvas and it's a lot easier to use. But just in case, I want us to have a backup so that if Conference isn't working one day or the video won't share, that we can move over to Zoom. There's also some really nifty features in Zoom, so we might find that we like it better later. All right, so to get started, the first thing you're going to need to do is download Zoom. And I'm not going to completely walk you through this because you're all big kids. You can do it yourself. But I will say you just go to Zoom, you hit on video conferencing, and you sign up, and it will allow you to immediately download right there. And it's a free system for what we're using it for. I mean, if we were going to do like a 100 people conference or, more than 50 or so, then yeah, we would have to pay for it. But right now it's just free. So before we start class, make sure you get a chance to download Zoom and just kind of poke around on it. But once you've got it downloaded, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to come over here and I've got it here on my menu. For those of you with Windows computers, it'll be located somewhere else. I can also go through here on the Mac and find it right there. I'm just going to start Zoom up. And of course, it's going to look a little bit different for me on the Macintosh than it's going to look for other people who might have a Windows system. But there is a lot of similarity here. So I'm going to click, if I'm starting it, so assuming that this is for one of the classrooms, then I'll set it up. But you can also use Zoom in your groups just like you can use Conference. And so if you choose to use Zoom rather than Conference, you can just kind of follow along here. So I'm going to click on New Meeting, and that's going to start up a meeting, and it's automatically going to bring up a Join Audio window box. I can here, if I want, test my speakers with the microphone. And so it's going to play a ringtone, and yeah, I hear it, so I know that that's the right one. And then it's also going to do it with the microphone, and it'll play back a recording. And since I can hear that, then I'll go ahead and click yes. If I didn't, I could choose different outputs right there because it's reading exactly what output you have from your computer. So I'm going to click Join the Computer with Computer Audio, and that will automatically set me up to use computer audio. So this is the basic window for it. Up here, I've got a counter that I brought up by using preferences. Right here, this allows me to enter full screen if I want to enter full screen, or if I don't, then I can exit that and just have the regular screen size up. Down here at the bottom are your main controls. So going from left to right, we have the mute button. When you join, I would prefer if you go ahead and just mute your button so that we don't have a lot of people talking over each other and getting a lot of feedback. But when the class is going, you'll have the option of unmuting if you have a question so that we can hear everybody speak. Or for those of you who are doing some kind of presentation or teaching over Zoom, if we choose to use this, and you'll be able to unmute yourself during that presentation. We got a little arrow right here. If you need to switch your microphone, you can do it here as well. So like I could use the built-in microphone. Right now I've got a USB microphone that's plugged in, and so I'm using that. And you can also choose to select the speakers. So for instance, if you have Bluetooth headset hooked up or something like that, you can choose to select that here. So we've also got the video option. If you don't want your video showing, usually it's going to open up automatically, but if you don't, you can press stop video, and that will stop video, and it'll just push your name up there. Or you can start video if it's not showing. And again, if you just click on that arrow to the right, it'll allow you to select whichever camera. I've only got one. I've got the FaceTime camera on the Mac. So that's the one that it will stay connected to. Then we get over here and we have invite. And invite is how I'm going to get everybody into the class. So what I'll do is I'll click on that, and it's going to bring up everybody that is in a contact list that I have that also has a Zoom account, and I'm not going to use that. That's kind of pointless to me. What I will do though is I'll click over here on email, and I can send a default email, or better yet, because I'm going to be going through Canvas on your email to keep everything within the range of FERPA, I'm going to copy the URL, and that will copy the website that Zoom is playing to right now. And then I'll end up going into Canvas. Move this around. I'll end up going into Canvas and going through the email right there. And starting a new email. And I'll select the course and all that, and then I'll just post the Zoom link in right there. Since I'm not sending that to anybody right now, let me go ahead and close out of this, and what I'm going to do is just send it to myself so that I can kind of show you what's going on when we start looking at the iPad. So I'll open my mailbox up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send to another address that I have right there, and I'm going to call this test 3 because I've had a couple of other tests, and I'm just going to paste the URL in there and then send it, and then as you'll see, it'll pop up here in just a second. There we go. So right there is that email. I'm not going to show you how to hook it up yet because I'm going to do that in the second part of this tutorial when I screencast my iPad onto the Mac, onto the desktop, and I'll be able to show you how to hook it up that way. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out, just showing you kind of what some of these other controls are. So manage participants. So whenever you're in here, I can either open up the shell. If there are participants right here, I can see everybody that's there. Right now, I'm the only one in there. I can mute separate participants, similar to what I can do in conference. I can also rename participants. So if I really wanted to, I could give you all like really creative and fun names. I can add profile pictures. Hey, that doesn't need to be there. I can see who's talking and that kind of thing. I can mute everybody. I can unmute everybody. I can mute participants on entry, which is what I'll probably do. I can play enter and exit chimes and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff I can do with this manage participants. Or if I don't want it there, if I'm not interested in using it right now, I can just close it up. I can do share screen, which I'm going to show you in just a second how that works, because that's got a lot of interesting parts to it. I can also do chat, which allows me to either have a side conversation with people, or you can have conversations with each other about things. You can ask me questions on it. Right now it's set to everyone publicly and privately. I can do participants can chat with no one, with me only, or with everyone publicly, which is probably where I will actually have it put. That way, nobody's talking back and forth when you don't need to be. All right, and then I'm also going to be able to record these sessions just like I can with conference. So if I click the record button, you'll see up here it's recording. At the end of the meeting, I have it set to ask me where to store the video. If you do not go into preferences and tell it to do that, then it will default into a user folder. So just know that if you press recording, it's going to have a default location that it's going to store to unless you tell it otherwise. And then I could also pause recording. So like if for some reason everything starts breaking apart and we can't access this anymore, then I can always pause it until we can get it back up. And then I can press play again when I want to start recording. I'm going to go ahead and stop that for now though. And then reactions, if there's something that you really liked and you really got, you can click a thumbs up, or you can clap. What I might do is I might use the thumbs up if you have a question, just because it's an easier thing for me to spot than trying to read the chat. So just do that. If you have a question, just give me a thumbs up and then I'll see it, and then I can react to whoever's given the thumbs up. All right, so that's basically like the main functions down here other than the share screen. So let me show you that real quick. So within Zoom, just like with Conference, I can share my screen. However, it has a slightly different function than Conference does. In Conference, I can upload presentations and I can flip through those presentations through Conference's actual app. With Zoom, I can't do that. Instead, what I have to do is if I want to show you a presentation like PowerPoint, I have to use share screen. So there are a couple of different things. There's some advanced options over here that I can look at where I can one participant can share at a time, or multiple participants can share simultaneously. Usually, I'm just going to have it at one participant because it gets chaotic otherwise. Additionally, here in the advanced options, since I'm the host, I'm going to come down here and click only the host can share. As opposed to all participants, unless there's a reason, like if we're doing a team teach for theater history, for instance, or one of the group presentations for intro to theater, then I'll let all participants do it that way. If you're participating or if you're presenting that day, then you can use it. So we'll set that like that, and then I'll click on the screen share button. Now what'll happen is it'll bring up all of these different options. The basic options are that I can share my desktop, I can share a whiteboard, which means I'd be able to write or to make annotations on anything. I can share my iPhone, iPad via AirPlay, iPhone, iPad via a cable, or I can share other windows that I have open. So like right now, I only have my my mail and a new message open, and those could be shared. Additionally, if I wanted to go up here to advanced, I can share only a portion of the screen if I wanted to. Or I could share computer sound only so that you would just get the sound that's coming from the computer and not an actual picture. Or I can share content from a second camera. So like if I had a webcam or if I had a DocuCam that was hooked up to this, I could use that. Additionally, I can also share files from this. So like if I have a file from Box, and this is actually where the PowerPoint would come in. So I'd connect my Zoom to Box. Sign in. Oop. Well, I'll have to do that later. But I can share that. I can share from those areas as well. Let me go back to share here. So all of those are options that I will have available to me. And additionally, down here I can do share computer sound, and it just says other participants will be able to hear the audio running on your computer as well as see your shared screen. So for instance, if I've got a video playing that I want you to watch, I would definitely want to check that so that you can also listen to what's happening in the video. And then optimize screen share for video clip just gives you the best possible screen sharing, but also kind of optimizes the amount of bandwidth that it's using. So it's kind of good for me to check both of those in most cases. And so those are the share options. And so for instance, if I share my desktop, then what will happen is you'll see that everything will change, and suddenly my picture's not there, and instead of my picture, you're looking at my desktop. Now, you can't control anything on my desktop. It's not giving you control of it. It just lets you see what's there. And so then, for instance, if I wanted to use a PowerPoint, I could come here and open up a PowerPoint. Go to absurdism. And so that PowerPoint would open up, and I would be able to run it on my computer just like I was running it normally, except you'll be able to see it because I'm sharing my screen through it. And so then I can just go through PowerPoints like that. And in that case, I can either use annotation here from the PowerPoint presentation itself, or I can come up here. Let me go back to automatic. I can come up here and use annotation from Zoom, which in that case you've got a number of things like text and stamp and spotlight and all that kind of stuff. So I can annotate while I'm talking to you as well. And so that's how we'll go through looking at different presentations that we have. If you are, for instance, one of the people that's presenting and you have a PowerPoint that you need to upload, then what you'll end up doing is that day I'll allow you to share your screen, and you'll have to share your screen with the PowerPoint on there. So that's how we'll run that. And then when you're done, you can come up here and you can either pause, share. You can also still access a lot of stuff down here. Like I can show the video panel. I can disable attendee annotation. Like if I didn't want you to be able to annotate, I could disable that. I can show who's annotating, so that if anybody decided to draw all over a picture, I can show who's doing it. Floating media controls, all that kind of stuff. And I can still do record, invite, and chat from up here as well. So if I want to, though, what I'll do is once I'm done with the PowerPoint, then I'll go ahead and I'll stop sharing, and that will switch me back right to the meeting with the video. There's also a couple of ways that you can change the way that your video appears. So, for instance, if I come up here, there's supposed to be a gallery. Oh, that's because I don't have a meeting. So once I log on, I'll show you how the gallery works. If you have extra people, there's a little notation up here that allows you to have a gallery view. And what that does is it allows you to see everybody that is part of the presentation all in little boxes. So it's almost like we're all just we can see each other and what each other are doing. So that's an option that everybody will have. That way you're not only looking at me, you can look at other people that are on there. And so you can have a different way of viewing the class. Otherwise, what will happen is whoever is speaking, their picture will pop up. So when I'm speaking, my picture will be up, and then if somebody has a question, their picture will automatically pop up because their voice will take precedence over the picture. All right, so that is where I am for setting the meetings up. Now, let's say that I want to show you how you're going to join. Well, first, if I'm going to share my iPad, let's say I want to share my iPad via AirPlay, and I click on this right here, and then I come down and I hit share, and it's going to give me some basic directions on how to share the iPad. And so I'm just going to follow those directions down there. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll have to see. It's real persnickety. It doesn't seem to want to work right now. There we go. Now it's joining. Okay, sometimes you just got to do it multiple times for some reason. All right, so now I've shared my iPad, right? And I'm going to show you, what I'm going to show you in this portion of the video is I'm going to show you how you, most of the time, are going to be joining up to this conference. So remember when I started this meeting that I set up a link that I then copied and sent down to an email, right? So theoretically, what should happen is that you'll get an email when I've got the conference started up, and then all you'll have to do is go and click on that email. So then, let's see, well, there it is right there, test 3. So I'm going to open that up and see how I've got this email right here. I'm going to click on that email, and that's going to say join meeting. You're already in another meeting. Do you want to leave and join this one? And I'm going to say, yeah, I do. All right, so then this is going to bring it up, and it's going to say join with video, join without video. It's really up to you. I'm not going to make anybody get on video that doesn't want to get on video. But for the sake of right now, I'm just going to say let's join with video. It's also going to ask about audio. All right, so one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to click, yeah, let me use the internet audio. Oh, we're freaking out. Hold on a second. Woo, that was rough. I think what I need to do is mute myself. There we go. All right, so I'm going to mute myself on Zoom just because that'll be easier and it won't make as much noise. All right, so now we're back. Okay, and as you can see, I have joined. I'm in the conference. Let's say I want to. It's still kind of acting up. But let's say I wanted to see what the look is from my perspective. So then there's this window down here in the corner, right here, that you can click that'll allow you to. It's kind of freaky because like what? It's doing a lot of weird stuff. Don't share content. And it's doing some really crazy stuff. All right, so, but this is basically how you'll join in, right? Is you'll click that, you'll have a couple of prompts, and then you'll be able to join up. And then from that, you'll be able to run through basically all of the other stuff that I was doing. So this just really kind of helps you to understand how you join, and what's going on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end this share because it's taxing the heck out of my system right now. Okay, and we're back. So that's me from the other direction. Yay. That's my daughter, Adelaide. That's my son, Tennessee. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this video. I'm going to pull myself out of this meeting right here. Oh, I did want to show you real quick the gallery view. All right, so if you're, I don't want to have you look at my nose. So if you're looking at the gallery view, when there are multiple participants, so I've got one participant, two participant, right, and I can mute and do all that kind of stuff. But the other thing I can do, which is really cool, is if I can either just keep it on the regular presenter view where I'm looking at the presenter, or I'm looking at myself, one or the other. So there I am looking at myself. And then I could also do gallery view. And what that does is that puts everybody that is on in a box within the space. And so if there are, for instance, 11 of us, then you'll see 11 heads sitting here, and you'll be able to watch everybody. But you can always switch back to the speaker view. And again, this is just, whoever happens to be speaking at that time, that's whoever's put up there. You can also change just by double-clicking on the picture, and you can see that kind of thing happening. So you have multiple ways of changing the view there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get out of this meeting just by ending it. When you're done with your meeting, you can end the meeting. It says end meeting for all or leave meeting. If you're just leaving the meeting, then you click that. That way it doesn't end it for everybody. This is only if you're a host. Since I'm a host, then it's going to ask me if I want to end it for all. And I say, yeah, I do. So I'm going to end it for all. And it's going to convert my recording. And as soon as it stops converting my recording, I'm going to tell it where to save. Right now I've got it saving into Box. So I'm just going to click Save right there. And it's going to save that meeting under the date and time. So this is the entire meeting right there. So that if I wanted to just have the audio, I could do that. Or if I wanted to do the entire video, then I could do that right there. And that way you can go back and you can watch the video. I'll upload those to Canvas. That way you can go back and you can watch those so that you can take notes and stuff. All right, so I just want to remind you, though, that this is only going to be used if Conference, for some reason, doesn't work out on Canvas. Our default will always be to do Conference, and the secondary will be to go to Zoom. Either way, you will get an email, and so as long as you're looking for your email and you see class starting in 5 minutes or class starting in 10 minutes, then you can click on that email and it's going to take you to the right one, and it'll either take you to Conference or Zoom depending on which one's working that day. All right, so this concludes the tutorial on Zoom. If you have any questions, if this is still confusing to you after you've watched it a couple of times, then please feel free to email me, and we can talk about it, and I'll try to maybe one-on-one get you up onto Zoom. But make sure that before we start back next week, that you have had a chance to walk through Conference and walk through Zoom, download Zoom, make sure that it's set up, so that when class rolls around on Monday or Tuesday, whichever day you're starting first, that you won't be lost in the shuffle, that you'll be able to go right along with it. All right, I hope everybody's having a great spring break. Enjoy the rest of your time, and I look forward to seeing you back next week.